Dungeon Master has placed you in a dreadfully precarious position.
Dungeon Master and Dwarven Sword Master, Hobgoblins, Dwarves, Elves, and Halflings are some of the characters and terms used in this very complicated and controversial game.
You're playing the most phenomenal game ever created.
Full Metal Tilt. Stand ye ready, experience adrenaline rush and heart-pounding excitement of jousting in Full Metal Tilt. A classic jousting system where every tilt of the lance could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Torch through the list, mastering the noble art of jousting against a backdrop of roaring crowds. Every tournament is a fresh adventure, and each challenger brings a thrilling new test of your skills. Will you rise as a tournament champion, or will you find yourself on horse amidst the clash of steel? Lower your visor, steady your lance, and let the games begin. Will you rise as the tournament champion, or will you find yourself on horse amidst the clash of steel? Lower your visor, steady your lance, and let the games begin.
I hate when it does this. Oh my gosh. Sorry, everyone. Well, welcome. Another Natural Ones. Let me fix everyone's pictures here because I don't know why. There we go. I don't know why it does that. It like thinks the thing is still there. There's always something that goes up. Welcome. We're joined. I'm joined as ever by Victor Gorchev.
Hello.
And we got Travis. I should have asked you this before the stream. How do I pronounce your last name, Travis? I feel like
I was going to say it's Fauber. It's a Deutsch.
Fauber. Yeah. Okay. Should have asked that before we streamed.
I had it right in my head then, but that makes sense, being European and all.
And I will come clean about one thing. I do see that Just Passerby is like calling me out for the song. It is true; those are my words, but that is sadly to say that is Suno. So I can take the negative one. I can take the hit here, but I will take that. I will take the hit.
Well, it's
also me though.
I looked through the book or what you sent me. What I appreciate with what you did actually on the covers, which we'll get to, is I think it's cool you use some like miniatures and stuff like that because we're friends on Facebook, so I see you posting some of your miniatures and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So I like that on the covers and the art and stuff like that. But it's not my intro either, though. Just to passerby. So
yeah. It is mine. It is mine. I will admit.
You also open about its use. Like I don't really care.
Great.
Yeah.
That's not. Yeah, I know people are.
But I was going to say in the material, there's nothing in there. The only thing like I had at one point in time was the logo, and I tried to get somebody, and then I believe it was what gave me the idea of like going to Patty about it was
cool.
Diversity and Dragons had mentioned like he was like looking for some work, and I was like, well, you know what? I was like, hey, can you give me a rate sheet and everything? And I hadn't even thought about a logo with him. I just kind of thought I'll get a piece of art from him, and that will, at least get Patty's, his name out there on my stuff. And then I saw logo price, and I was like, Patty, I want a logo.
No.
Patty's
I was like, I didn't even think of you for this, but yes, please give me a logo. And so thus we've got the Gray Cloak Publishing logo, which is that's built off of my cat, and the reason that you have his name's Happy, and the reason why it's Gray Cloak is because it's just a nod to the elven cloak that he's wearing and everything.
Yeah.
Favorite color is green, and lucky number's 13. So.
Well, yeah, so we have you here to talk about Full Metal Tilt, which is a lot of jousting rules add-ons, but I think it seems like you're doing much more than that, than just jousting in this, so I'm interested in hearing about that as well. But for Dragon Slayer RPG, which is Greg Gillespie's sort of... I've never actually looked at Dragon Slayer, and no offense to Greg or anything like that, it's just there's so many games out there, like how do I even get to them all? Yeah. But from what I understand, it's like he kind of takes BX in Dragon Slayer and sort of adds sort of the advanced rules over the top of it, sort of this amalgam of the two, which those are often everyone's favorite editions, which is either BX or AD&D or both, you know.
I think he's also very like mega dungeon focused, isn't he?
Yeah, that's like Baramaze is his flagship, and now he's got Dragon Slayer as his flagship system around all of those. And I believe next year he's going to be doing a Gazetteer. He should be like doing a Kickstarter for it. So I think like either first quarter or second quarter, I think is what he's planning on doing. But yeah, the system, the Dragon Slayer system, you're correct. It is a BX and AD&D, but there is a little bit of 5e and third in there. You can actually go and look, especially about like the miniatures and using them in the system. So and how you would use that. So that's, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, but I think it's pretty much those are the extra draws. So it's kind of combining like a lot, but the main source is the classics,
Sure. This seems to be the thing that people do these days, kind of like an amalgamation, whatever it is.
Yeah, I can't even say it now.
Amalgamation.
That's it. Like, kind of like not everyone is crazy like John, and he's just like, I'm just gonna do 0E and that's it, and chainmail, and everyone else is like, you know what, this is neat from 5e. I'm gonna put that in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, like White Box is an amalgamation of chainmail and 0E, which, in my opinion, you're supposed to do, is what it's telling you to do when you play 0E. But not everyone did that. But yeah, it's fun to sort of like look at the rules, try and understand them, and then see like, hey, that thing over there can work. Because one thing I noticed in the jousting rules that we were talking before stream, so it's pretty much the same, because you are drawing from chainmail.
Correct.
Where you have the shield and you have the different points on the shield or the helm, which you can target. I do the same thing in White Box. But I think you said that we were talking before the stream that the strength, like certain ability scores, might affect your ability to hit. And you have stuff on a D20 roll. The way I do it, I don't know if it's correct or not, but it's just the way I interpret it. Is it's almost like a overly complex rock paper scissors is how I do my jousts.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty much like how the chart is. And I mean, if you want to bring that up, we can just go.
Let me. Which file would that be? Because I got it open here.
That's probably the Full Metal Tilt. Let's see. I actually have it up here. I think it's Full Metal Tilt, version 12.13.
All right, I got it here. Let's see.
My ear trumpet had a question too. Super chatted.
Oh yeah, I was going to get to that. Thank you for the $5 Australian as well.
Yes, my ear trumpet. Yeah, that can happen, and we'll get right into that because there is an injury chart and there is a head injury chart, which is worse for you than all the others. So,
all right. So,
I got the cover art there. I do appreciate when I found that piece and everything on drive through, and it fit. I was my plan is like we were talking about the whole miniatures is that I do want, kind of like how Greg Gillespie has all his monochromes. I want to do my painted pieces on the cover. So I have been painting knights. I've got another knight that I'm trying to get painted up, and then I'm going to take them into as I call it, parade dress. So right now I got one that is he's table ready. The other one, it's like, I'm just getting the bases like set up for him, and then I plan to like put that on the back, so I should be able to have that done before then.
I think it's a cool piece. I love that chunky.
Oh, it's a great
painterly style.
Yeah.
So.
And it works.
Scroll down on the cover real quick. You can answer this question, by the way, because it shows the OSR and the Dragon Slayer.
I'll be honest. Print and Play podcast. You could play this with 5e without any problem. You could play this with DCC without any problem. You could play it with. I think I told some. I think it was on Diversity and Dragons. You could play it with Earth Dawn by Fossa. All you have to do. It doesn't matter whether you call it strength, might, stamina, because you're going to use two main stats, which is strength and constitution. So anything that runs off strength and constitution or some verbiage of that, you're fine. There is one other stat that rarely comes up, but that's charisma, or like you'd say if you're using like Earth Dawn, a social defense, something of that nature. And just like with White Box, like for John's product, you can use all this. And like we were just discussing, previously in the green room, is that there isn't a bonus. So it would just be a die roll. It'd be like, even if you're like playing with your kids and you're like, we don't have characters, but we're going to joust and we're just going to roll this dice and, and see what happens after you choose yours and I choose mine. And we, look at the chart and determine how, what happens at impact. So
I love chart systems too, which is like partly why I like the jousting in Chainmail and much of Chainmail and OD&D. I know some people don't like their charts; they get annoyed referencing charts, but I love referencing charts.
Well, if you don't like charts, I do have I do have a program which Howard Young, one of my players, developed just a JavaScript that you just open up in a browser that you can use, and I'll show that off here a little bit later. When we actually kind of like do a joust between you two, just to kind of like simulate it. But that was the first true stretch goal, was that, once I got to like 2000, that I was going to give everybody a copy. Like Howard was like, oh yeah, he's like, just let anybody have it. He said, I created it for a project. He works at Marshall University, for the housing, and he was going to have all these students play test it. And he's like, that's 70 kids. And he's like, I'm going to have to like come up with some way.
Some
and
automation.
He created this. And he's like, you're still a chart, but it's like, it's just click, click, click. And there you go. You got your results. You don't have to like worry about looking, just focus where it's at.
If you play DTRPGs, you like charts.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
You like charts?
I like using them and reading them. I don't like making them.
Making them.
I hate,
making them the worst.
Don't line up. Oh my gosh.
But then I also torture myself, and it's like, well, this needs a chart, and this needs a chart, and this needs a chart.
Everybody gets a chart.
Yeah.
So we got table contents here, so people can see like what's in it.
And this is just the preview. So, but
yeah. The preview. So, what is, I guess, like, what's the base thing about it? Where should I go to like get people?
Yeah. Keep going down.
Keep going down. Okay.
Yeah, so right there. So here's our beginning part here. So it just kind of outlines about like how a joust is a little bit with like your tilt, and if you're using miniatures, how far apart you should do, keep them, so forth and so on. And then you got your shield down there. So like it says, stand you ready. So you have your aiming points. That's the first part of this that's very important, is you have your aiming points. You have your points that are on a shield, whether it's the base. Even though it's not listed there, it is listed above in the text. Helm, I believe I even probably highlighted it too, is a target.
It's up here up on this one. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's up there, but I believe like on the text, like I put it there too as well, saying like, look, this is a a target that you can pick. But you first pick an aiming point, and then that's when it comes up to the next chart here, is that once you have chosen your aiming point, and say like if you chose Helm, you have defensive maneuvers. An example is like 4 and 6. And what the defensive maneuver is that's what you're doing to avoid either being hit or to make the impact that you're going to take a little less, or hopefully not as embarrassing when you're looking up at them after you've knocked off. But in the end, the defensive maneuvers, the reason why you're given that little chart off to the side there, once you have chosen your aiming point, those are the ones that you can typically pull off from that aiming point or that position that you're targeting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can choose what I refer to as a risky maneuver. It's basically a gambit. So if you say you choose Helm 3, okay, so that's off of your defensive maneuver chart there. So it's a risky maneuver. What happens then is that as long as you don't have a result that comes up as a U, which is a unhorsed check, or an U underline, which is just a crit. That's just it's like the old OD&D that it's just auto. There's no roll. You don't get no chance. Boom, you're gone. What ends up happening is that you're automatically unhorsed. You don't get a roll. It's because you chose to take this risky maneuver. But if it's just a broken lance or a glance or whatever, hey, you pulled it off. And if you knock them off their horse, hey, good for you. You played a gambit, you won. And I think it's like Gary Lewis from the second watch said, he's like, well, when I was playing it down North Texas, I just equated it to poker. I was just reading, sitting there thinking, well, what would Matt do? It's like, he'll overthink it. So I'm going to do this. And he's like, that's how I became the champion. And I'm like, well, that's how you do it, Gary. That's exactly how you do it. You watch people and you just kind of like, and the fact that I have multiple charts, which is a funny story how that came about, which we'll get to on the next slide here about the charts. Just showing an example of one, is that I had, just for layout purposes, when I was given my players a chart that had the appendix at the top of it, and I had one that was the same chart, but it just didn't have the appendix on it, so they could just print it off, and it wasn't like pushed down or anything. And they said, so which chart do we use? They're like, I was like, well, it's just the same chart. And then one of my players said, oh, I thought you did multiple charts, like just to change it up. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, this is what I should do. I should create multiple ones. So we're up to 6, but there is 4 in this one. I'm still play testing the other 2.
Okay.
So when you go down, hey, you got your fine art there.
There you go. Yeah, I recognize that one.
So table O, that one is a nod to the jousting matrix. There is my changes that are on there, but in the end, it is, for the most part, it has similar characteristics as the original.
I mean, this looks like the chart that I have in white box for jousting as well.
That's what I meant. That's why I call it O for old school. So, so basically, impact happens, and I show like how you can do it if you're just writing it down, or you can actually use the cards that I have. And the easy part about the cards is that an aiming point is a card that has on the back of it a lance, and then you'll have your actual aiming point, on the card. And then you have the defensive maneuver, which is a heraldry or a shield. And then on that you'll have your like helm or Dexter, chief, or whatever the position is that you chose. But if you're just doing it and you didn't use the cards and everything, I teach people how to easily like kind of referee it. Like if you write, say like you have player 1 picks PF or Fest Pale, and then picks 3, which is lean left.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have player 2 picks Dexter Chief, and they also pick lean left. Then you just kind of like put them over top of each other. And if you draw a line real quick, it makes it easier to run that chart real fast. Mm-hmm. And so as you see, the first player misses player 2, and player 2 breaks a lance on them.
Yeah.
Thus scoring a point in the system that I'm using. So breaking a lance, when you do break a lance, as it says down here in B, which is what it is on the chart, if a B shows up, it's a broken lance. On your next pass, you have to obtain a new lance. So that means that no matter that chart that we were just looking at that showed you what the aiming point of defensive maneuver is for, say, like helmets, or let's use CP. So that one, like Chief Pale, it's any. Well, this rule supersedes it now. Yeah. So because you're having to get a new lance, you either pick 4 or 6 to be safe. But if you can't pick 4 or 6 because you want to take a risky maneuver, hey, all bets are off. Hopefully you pull it off. But if not, then yeah, you could get auto unhorsed. So,
This is the funny thing, like, because the way I do it is very much like the way, like, it's just like we said, an overcomplicated rock paper scissors, really, with bluffing and stuff like that. And you're trying to figure it out, and so the way I do it is like the way what I noticed with looking at chainmail is like once you're unhorsed or once you break a lance in this situation, like it's interesting how it can kind of go downhill really quick for you.
Yep.
Because it's like that first round is like super important, and it sets the tone for like the rest of the joust. Because it could go really bad for you. So
yeah, that's what I noticed in my research when like digging into this, and I was like, I don't like that, but I like what we got here. So that's where I was like, let me tinker with this a little bit. So, so the next one we have down here, C, crest strike. If you actually break a lance across the helm, there is a chance that if a C shows up, that strike means that you're able to make a D6 roll. It's kind of like a 33% chance that you can, out of a 1 or a 2, crush their crest, knock it off, whatever. And that will make that knight have to make a charisma check. So in other words, what they will do is that they will roll underneath of their stat. And if they succeed, they're okay. They keep their cool. But if they don't and they fail, then for the rest of that match, they're at a -2 on the rolls.
okay.
And then it says, like designer notes, you only got 1 crest. So if somebody knocks that crest off earlier, it kind of also starts developing a story, you know. So, and then after that, they won't have one until it's repaired. I also added a fumble, which is just kind of like would you have the U underline, which is a crit. I wanted to have its parallel opposite. In this case, you either drop your lance, something happens to where it's just not, you're fumbling with it, whatever you want to say, but it's kind of like you're having to get a new lance because you're trying to regain your composure with that lance or even get a new lance. So you get 4 or 6 without any results, in your favor or anything. Glancing blow, self-explanatory, no points. Helm hit. So helm hit is worth 2 points, which, all these points that I'm describing, you'll see down in the scoring, which is towards the end. But you'll break a lance. That also, if you have a helm hit and the broken lance is the same as the original, you're going to either choose 4 or 6 or get risky. If, as you're reading across, you see an I, so like use the example, if the result was CP6 and it said unhorse check, and no matter what the result there is, even if you unhorse somebody, you still get the roll on that chart. So your opponent would roll on a D8 there, and there's your result. So I forget who asked for it. Was it My Ear Trumpet that asked about the damage and everything?
He did.
Yeah.
He gave a super chat.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Dead arm, eternal bleeding. You can have injured arm, a shattered shield. You can dent somebody's armor. You can knock them out, so forth and so on. And then all the descriptions for all those are also in the terminology at the beginning for stuff. Sure. Probably the worst one to like end up getting there. I mean, eternal bleeding is pretty bad, but I think the one that we tend to it's the dented armor. It's having to pay that price over and over again. People, it's like, man, it's like I gotta pay to have my armor fixed again. Daggone it.
Yeah.
Now you got your head blows. So that's, even though that chart that is the O there does not have a H followed by an I. If the H is followed by an I, this is when you'd roll in this chart. So this would be the other charts that I have.
Okay.
You'll see below. And these are pretty brutal. So I think like
temporary amnesia.
Yeah.
Face smash. That's great.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of those is like, even though you lose like say 2d6 intelligence or whatever, if that puts you out, if you come to 0, you're out. But it will come back in a due state, like how much time that it would take to get that back. I see something that needs to be fixed there. I see that
That's always the case.
Yep. I saw that. Yeah,
I have that constantly with my work. I'll be showing it off, and there's like a blatant typo that I've read over like 50 times.
It's like, how did that happen?
Dude, sometimes I'm like when I convert stuff to a PDF, I'm like, why did this shift? I don't understand. And I'll do it again. It's the same thing, and it'll never shift. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what happened. So whatever. Yeah, it's magic. So a miss is a miss. The underscore on horse, just like we said, it is what it is. So an unhorse check. So you do opposed rolls when it's just a you, and the opponent who is striking you gets to roll with their strength modifier. If this was white box, we were like just talking about, it would just be a roll because there ain't no strength modifier. And then it would be against your constitution modifier in Dragon Slayer or any other, OSC game or something like that. You would roll with that modifier. And then if there is a tie, then defender wins. That's my little nod to Risk. The defender wins.
You could probably make this work in white box still, because maybe what I would do is, because it's interesting, in white box you get a -1 or +1 on Constitution for hit points. You could probably apply that to this, and then maybe if instead of strength you used dexterity in this, because there is a modifier to missile fire. So like, and to me, like pointing your lance, there's some dexterity there too. So I could see you changing it to that to make it work.
Yeah, and even then, like I said, you could just use the levels, like the fighting men, level and everything. I because I am going to institute something like that for this and the final, the final copy.
Yeah, that
like I said, of all the stuff that I'm adding in here, like ladies' favors and everything. Like this is not the full version. There's a lot of working things which we can look at the Kickstarter. So
this also assumes between two players. But what if you're jousting an NPC and they don't have constitutional strength? It's just they have their hit dice. I mean, then you could add the hit dice, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean that is true too. I didn't necessarily consider that. What I was doing with that is that I had come up with like in the Blue Lady, which is in the give me a second. In Mad Scribe magazine number 12. That which I gave you a copy, which is like my referee copy that I had created for myself to like run it. That one I did use the stats and stuff, but I did kind of give them like traits. Like each knight kind of like had like their quirk of like how they would joust or whatever, which is something that I'll probably put in the solo play adventure that that I'm going to have in there, which can be played with multiple people, but it's just that I'm going to have it so that each adventure that they have, whether it's Passe d'Armes or the tournament is the other one I call, that you'd be able to roll on a chart to determine different opponents and stuff. But if you were just playing and you weren't even using modifiers, you could just use a D8 and a D6 to determine what their choices is if you're solo playing. And then
I was just thinking, because in 0E and white box and stuff, if you come across like a Lord's Keep, they challenge you to a joust, and then obviously you would be jousting an NPC, so those stats wouldn't apply anyway. So
yeah, and that's something that like I am going to put in there, because I do want that nod that if you're near a castle or if you just happen to pass, like just a lord may challenge you, or another fighter, or a knight, paladin, whatnot. So.
And you do get, like in 0E, you do get perks. Like if you win, that lord will host you in his castle for like a month, and he'll give you a bunch of rations, and so there's some perks to like getting a home base that's safe in a castle for a month. That's nice.
Yeah, I kind of like did a little nod to that in the Blue Lady, and the fact that when you do go there and joust, the guy has 10 knights, and you gotta win it. You gotta win against him. And I had like 3 an NPC knight and like 2 actual players like playtest that actually was able to show up that night, and they did make their way through all 10 knights. They did a good job. It ended up being like, it was like epic. There was just one knight versus like the Lord, and that was it. And in the end, he was hosting them the night before, and then he would host them, if they win, or host them if they still wanted to play, because he as he puts it, my knights haven't been to tournament in a long time, and they want some fun. So, but yeah. In melee combat, if anything ever comes to a tie, say you're both unhorsed, your points are the same, either way down to a tie, you will end up going into melee. So how that is determined is that usually you will do 3 rounds of sword. It could be any sword, 3 rounds of maces, 3 rounds of axes, and 3 rounds of dagger. And we actually have been that far all the way down the line. But also, as I state, like in the terminology and everything, that I think it might even in there too, I can't remember, but the Knight Marshal or the Lord or whoever is hosting the tournament or who has made the call, they get to determine, that result. It could be the first strike. It could be, till somebody yields, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And I would assume that a lot of the injuries we've talked to before, that could potentially be a problem for you in the melee combat. So, if your armor's dented and you have a -1 AC,
yeah, your shield shattered, you immediately going into melee. Yeah. Might as well go ahead and pull the 2-hander if you're going to do that if you have it. So
yeah.
But like in melee, as I tell people, is that the system, all the rest of that, the system you can use as is with any of these, any of these OSR games that we just referred to, or games that are adjacent. But when it comes to melee, use your system, use whatever it is. That's as I note here, just like that makes it easy to where you can just plug and play. You can just plug this in and you can use it because it's not going to mess with your combat. You're not going to have some arbitrary, this is now how Full Metal Tilt is. No, this is, you can just plug this in and play it with your game.
Nice.
So we got chivalry here. Is there anything important in chivalry that you want to touch on?
Just talking about like how a knight should act, and that you should be like honorable, and if your opponent, I mean, you don't necessarily have to do this, but it's just kind of like bringing up like like the code that if another your opponent's like, I'm throwing down my shield and I'm just going sword, with not a 2-handed sword, just straight up long sword. It's like, well then you should do the same, or if they yield, you shouldn't strike them.
And it says here, taking advantage of an injury is or weakness is dishonorable. So
yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it can't happen.
Yeah.
Let's be real too. So
they got a cracked rib and you go and give them a little punch in the rib.
I had a night that I was playing that I was playing against a friend of mine, Aaron Amick, and his knight had levels on me. He had, I knew that I would not in a melee be able to win, but in a joust, I had a chance. We ended up scoring the same. And I'm just like, man, I was like, I'm not going to beat him in a melee. We went into melee and it was determined already that it was the first strike. So I'm like, I have to take this one hit. And as soon as he hit me and I was able to take it, I was like, I yield. I don't want to be killed. I don't want my character killed. I was like, I want the peacock to last another day. So, and that's
kind of makes me want to watch A Knight's Tale.
Dude, it's one of my appendix ends for this, and I actually watched it on Thursday before I was getting close.
I might watch it tonight. So I have nothing else to do after this. So
I will say this, that when we were playtesting this, when everybody rolled up a bunch of knights and we started like doing this, nobody had a concept of their heraldry or anything like that. And then as we played, all this developed out of it.
Yeah, that's
cool. Yeah, I have Richard Big Timber, who's his heraldry is a black beaver rampant on a shield. That's not mine. That's my buddy Aaron Amick's. He's got that one. I think Matt D'Amico has a guy. His name, he just used a random chart, and it was Aslan the Warm. And he's just like, I just don't know about this name and everything. And then he decided, he was like, well, his symbol's a golden clam. And I was just like, wow. I was like, okay. And he's just like, and he's got clammy hands. And I was just like, okay. And then, like I said, my buddy Aaron Amick, he's got Tudwall the Portly. There's another one he has. I think his name's Chet. I forget what Chet's last name is, but he just rolls in a random chart for that guy. he gets a D8 and a D6, and he's like, "That's my roll." And I've seen him actually win matches. And I was like, "Can you imagine like losing to the guy that's just like, I don't care. I'm just going to roll."
It makes it hard because you don't know what it's going to be.
No. That makes Chet pretty
it's
rough.
Actually, you can't plan against that, so that makes it hard.
Well, his sit is that he's not just chaotic. He's just like, it's like, and he keeps saying like, well, he's like, I'm glad that I was able to defeat you. Father would be proud. That's so. But the scoring's pretty simple on just a regular tournament. Is 1 point for a broken lance between the waist and the neck, and then you've got 2 for a helm, and 3 if you unhorse somebody. But in the end, you get that opponent's horse. So
cool.
I'm actually going to add where you can actually, play around with that, where you can go to their armor or whatever. But typically, I'm going to have it down as that you would end up losing your horse. So.
You got a sample joust match here.
Yeah, and these are actually jousts that actually happen. I kept record of them and used them as examples, especially ones where it's like it's kind of questionable, like how it like worked out. Actually, go down. I'm trying to remember one of them. I think it's in the 3rd example that I have. I want to see what the names are. Is it Sir
Kai?
Oh, no, it's not. It's not the one I was thinking of. No, I have one of my buddies has a half orc and everything, and he has a great name for him. So I just can't remember what the first name is. He just refers to him as the Black Bastard.
And this one went to melee. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one did. Yep. Yeah, and I put that in there because it went because it went to melee, just as an example, just kind of showing like that's where the example is. The Knight Marshal has stated the rules for this tournament. Yep.
And then you have a new class here.
So Dragon Slayer doesn't have a knight. So I kind of like went back, looked at Unearthed Arcana, and I was like, how can I fix this? So, and then I looked to see what like other people had done, and then I kind of played around with it. I still like the ability requirements because like in Greg's game and everything, I was like, a knight should be rare. Most of the people that has a title, or whether it should really just be a fighter that just has a title, but few people were born to be a knight. So, and that's where I have like the stats there. So that also prompted me, which is in the next section, is about the paladin, but we can go down through the knight here a little bit.
And I like that you restrict it by race too. I think that's important.
Yeah, because that's I'm just following along with Greg's, his template and everything. And then I went back and looked and said, okay, well, what did they have previously, and what can I bring forward? And like he has the Cyclops man, so I had to like determine what a Cyclops man could do there too. So,
and you have them level capped, it looks like, which is good. I appreciate that.
Yep,
because you get a lot of bonuses as a demi-human in old school.
Yes, you do.
So but cool. I even think like looking at this, like there's the hit die difference for white box and stuff like that, but you could probably make this work for
just we'll do it with.
Well, I didn't necessarily. I was just really just thinking there's the rules, but I mean, if we want to go that far, I mean, we can talk about it. I'd be more than happy to pick your brain about it.
Yeah, no, like I'm just looking at it. Like it wouldn't be that much. I think that's the beauty of a lot of this old school stuff. In a lot of ways, is if you want to adapt some things like from a totally different sort of TSR inspired game, it's pretty easy to do that.
Yeah,
if you know what you're doing. But this is cool. I like it because I mean these advancement things are even in line with like the fighting man from 0E, so it's not too different.
Right.
This is cool. And then you said you have a paladin as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to adjust that one just a little bit. So all I've done here is I had to bring those ability scores forward because in my mind, using Greg's system, is that you have the 4 core, he'll have, you have your fighter, your magic user, your cleric, and your thief. And then you have other classes that are, underneath of them. So in my mind, the knight's underneath the fighter, but the paladin would be underneath the knight. So it's a sub of a sub in a sense. So I had to like bring those ability score requirements, which since I've been doing, I don't know if anybody ever like pays attention to my socials, that I do these daily rolls where I'll use like Greg's system of 3d6 7 times, remove the lowest. And I have rolled up a paladin. It has taken me 1 year, but I was able to at least roll one up straight up with the requirements there. But I have rolled up multiple knights, so it is possible. But that I brought that forward, and also I wanted to bring in parts of the knight class that kind of like balance it out, where you would have the paladin and the knight. But I'm going to do another option for it to where you can choose to either have the spells at 9th level, but I kind of like view like paladins in my case is I don't necessarily want them to be like kind of like off of the cleric branch with spells. And I get why they have their spells, but I kind of like the idea of like the smite, like we're like with not a 5e smite, but something that would be equivalent, to fit in here. So I'm tinkering with that because I think, they're still a fighter. I could still add that little bit of like, divine, divinity, for them like to strike an opponent down, but having all the healing and stuff, and I know that's still like a nod back to the AD&D and everything, but I just kind of like, I kind of want to give somebody a choice. I want to put that in as an option where you can just play it like it is with the new stats, or you could play it, with having the smite as an option instead of like, I'm going to have all this, healing and everything else, on top of it. So
yeah, I get the design choice of it. I think it's cool. He sort of functions at higher levels as like a really good fighter who has some healing abilities that kind of are supportive as well. So I mean that's pretty dangerous and deadly. But Paladin is one of those things, and I don't see Crafty Matt in here because he's very passionate about paladins. It's the lore of that is something I want to like read more about too, because I'm going to try and adapt the paladin class to white box. So I want to try and figure out like what is the lore behind the paladin, like even pre D&D.
Like going back to Charlemagne and all that.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I just want to like kind of. I mean, you guys know me. That's how I am when I look at stuff where it's like what. Because sometimes you go back to that original stuff and you're like, oh, there's this little seed there that like I see how that traced all the way into even D&D, but like there's all this stuff that was added or lost along the way, and I just find that kind of stuff interesting. So
yeah, I agree. I did see that the Paladin Fords noticed the art there. Yeah, I had to put I believe it is it Braveheart or what's, I can't remember. He's part of the cartoon. And now I'm going to have to like look it up because it's like Bright Hand or something like that. I had to put him in there as soon as I saw that piece of art. I was like, oh, it's like I grew up watching that cartoon, so
yeah. Paladin Forge says he likes Carlos Castillo's art. This is I've seen this one on. You got this one from Drive Through RPG, right?
Yeah. Most of that is in there. Yeah.
Carlos does good stuff.
Strong heart. I knew there was heart in there.
I've got some good Carlos art. He does nice work.
Oh, I enjoy his art too. Which I will say this, John, your watercoloring. Oh my gosh, I was like those elves and those dwarves. I was like, those are amazing.
Those are digital too. I'm trying to figure out how to make my digital art look more traditional. Because I don't feel like busting out my watercolors in real life. I love watercolors, but it's so messy and
right.
I
mean, they look great.
Thank you. So the end here looks like you just have a nice quick way of referencing a lot of the tables that you have.
Yeah. So you roll to determine like what's the table going to be for that tournament, or if it's a tourney, which we really didn't dust on that, but that's where you have teams of night. So say if all three of us were on a team, we would go joust another a team of three, so forth and so on, and try to win that tourney. So, But yeah, we have table A. So go back to table A. This is the original one that I was building off of before the idea came to me, and then I was like, okay, I'll add O, and then I'll do all these other ones. C had to get an adjustment, but if you see, I was going to say one more thing about table A. I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. If you see up there at helm and it says underneath 6 or low or shield low, there you got a helm hit, a possible unhorsing check, and a head to injury because there's the eye following it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we'll see more of that in the extra 2 because that was the only one that actually had that. So, for the helm injury or for the head injury.
So, like before a tournament, you would just pick one of these tables. Like, okay, this tourney we'll use O or A or whatever.
Yeah. So right before you start the section, I kind of give like a little explanation where I say, look, we'll randomly roll to determine so that nobody knows what they're choosing. Because if I had people choose, then they're just going to get, oh, we're going to play table A or let's all vote on this. Well, and then everybody knows what they're going to play or whatever. So I wanted them, so and then I add 6 in there. So now we've got what I think said like 288 different outcomes out of all the different charts. So
that's cool.
I was actually going to suggest making the tables like a random roll, but you already thought of that. So, hey.
Yeah, I mean I love my tables.
Yeah.
I mean, when I solo game, because normally when you're playing against another human, what I do is, again, it's like rock paper scissors. So they would pick like their defensive, their aim point and their defensive maneuver. But like when you're solo gaming, you have to do the roll in order to determine it. So.
Yeah, so in that case, what I would do is I'd go ahead and make my determination and be like, okay, kind of like if you had the cards or whatever, be like, I laid it down or I wrote it down. Now I roll because I don't know what they're going to do, and then that way I can be surprised.
Yeah, that's how I do it. So when I'm solo gaming, at least.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So cool. You got these tables.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool to have like, oh, you got a little bracket. That's fun too.
Oh, well, there's all kinds of brackets. So I was like, people's going to need brackets. So I was like, I'll go ahead and give them brackets. And then I have the cards at the end, which I do have. There's going to be 10 pre-gens that will come with this with their own heraldry art, which those were all done by Frank Avila. I did like some that we did for like my friends and stuff that I've drawn on. Well, I've did the lances. I will say I hand drew those. So
those look good.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. And then I colored them in with colored pencil. So I did
it looks great. I think it looks good.
But the excuse me, those all that heraldry out of the few ones that I've put in this little preview, those were all done by Frank Avila. He's real good. So if anybody ever needs heraldry art, reach out to him. He's been a great help.
Yeah, I think the cards will add something a little extra to it too, where you mix it. I'm assuming it makes it a little quicker in your selection because then you just like flip it over and you're able to sort of.
Well, you got to think about it. I kind of go back to like my LARP days and everything, and I think about like making sure that no matter what somebody's income is, that they should be able to come up with a way to play this. So let's say that you can't print off the cards or whatever. Well, I can at least get paper and pencil, you know what I mean? And then I can, write it down and then my opponent will write it down and then we'll show at the same time. Let's say that you do print off the cards. Well, the cards would work, better than the Night Marshal, which we'll show off here in a little bit. Let's say you don't have a computer and you're at a convention and you've got your miniatures out and everything. Having those, because I built like my own little miniature tilt and whatnot, having those at the table and then having the cards and then your cards match your heraldry, that whether you colored it in, whether you bought something that somebody did and you like transpose, whatever you want to do with the cards, and you lay those down and it's just kind of like, okay, I'm ready, and like push my little knight forward because it's like, it's just kind of, you're playing at a convention and the other person does the same, and then you flip over at the same time. Because, if you didn't have the computer there, you couldn't afford to bring it, because you think about it, if you go to a convention, it's easier to bring a deck of cards than it is to, lug around a computer if especially if you're like flying in or something. I
Sure.
thought of many different ways that you could like play this without having to worry about, oh, do I need the cards? Do I need, this computer program?
Well, I know some
I
people
can do
have
it
like
on my
varying.
phone.
I know some people have varying views on, like, someone just commented on my recent video about AI and how like you have a choice and stuff like that. And one guy commented, he's like, when I play RPGs, I want to unplug from everything around me. Like I play in person with friends. We do paper and pencil only. Maybe there's a phone that's connected to a Bluetooth speaker for music, but other than that, like, we're not looking at our phones, and we keep a strict rule about that, and we have a good time. And I'm like, I respect that. And there's a lot of people that like to game that way. So I think that like catering to that kind of person, that's like the roots of the hobby too.
Yeah.
So, or at least offering an option for that, I think is good.
Yeah, because like I said, like everybody comes from different like income backgrounds and everything. So I'm okay with that. It's just I just want to make sure that it's something that anybody can use.
Yeah. What else did you want to look at? I have because I downloaded everything you sent me.
Well,
is there anything else? Is there anything else you wanted to touch on with this?
No. I mean,
Okay.
the last part's just the vanity part down there. It's just about me. So, a little bit about myself. So that's about it.
And I thought it was cool. Like, are the pre-gens going to be I'll open one up here.
Yeah, go ahead. Those were used at North Texas too. And again, there's Frank Avila's art as well.
Bueller?
Yeah.
Bueller?
Yeah.
He's got his sign there. That's cool. So are these going to be like ones that will be like included with it, so people can kind of get started? And
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So they'll have that, and they'll have a set of cards with every single one of these.
Okay. Yeah. So these link back to the cards that were.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. So there'll be a set for each one of these heraldry. So.
Cool. Yeah, the heraldry is cool. I like this sort of, and I kind of discovered this when I looked at the jousting and castle rules in 0E, and how it referenced chainmail and stuff. And someone had commented on this because one of my solo plays I did a while back where I did a joust, and unfortunately that whole adventuring party got TPK'd in a hobgoblin dungeon. But when I did that joust, like a couple people commented on it, and they're like, "Oh, that's so cool! Like the jousting thing is so cool because it makes it feel more." Someone said it made it feel more storybook, more like fairy tale in a lot of respects, and it just adds like something so cool and interesting, and in regards to like encountering a castle, because I think it makes players think twice. Do we want to stay and like avoid this castle, or do we want to try and approach it? The Lord here might challenge us, So like, it makes for like it just adds to this sort of depth of the world, in my opinion. And I like the chivalric sort of addition of these sorts of things to these games, because I think it's looking at 0E and at future things. It's something that was sort of lost in a lot of ways that I think is worth.
We should put it in our 5e book when we make it. Jousting. Why not? It's fun.
I'll work with you.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just want to say that I think it's just one of those things that we all grew up with these stories. No matter what your background is. Well, even if you say like, well, I grew up in Japan. Well, you had the samurai. There's stories that are the same, the nature of there's this honorable or person that stood for this code, and it just there's something visceral that just in all of us that just kind of like harkens back to this,
Yeah. Sire asked, did Greyhawk setting have a lot of jousting originally? I would assume it was a given because Greyhawk still references chainmail. It still tells you to use it and reference it. If you're talking about the supplement 1 for OD&D, I'm trying to remember if it's in the AD&D book, and I can't recall actually. It's been a while since I looked at that book, the World of Greyhawk book. But supplement 1 assumes you're using chainmail. That's a good question, actually. I don't know.
Well, I know that somebody I think it was in Diversity and Dragons, when I was doing that interview there, that somebody had mentioned that there was a person that was still like doing a similar, but I still think it's like still harkens back to the jousting matrix, like more closely aligned to that was still like doing tournaments and whatnot of that nature. And I do know that they still do it at like Gary Con. So I think there's some link to like, maybe where this kind of like with the 5e revival of Greyhawk with all the, there's still some people putting out material for that. So I think some people are still playing that in some corners, I guess. I mean, it was just mentioned, and then I said, no, I'm not familiar with it. And the person goes, I'm not either. I just heard of it. I was like, okay. I was like, cool. I was like, all right,
That's cool. So we got a lot of these.
See if you can find the one that's the Cyclops man. When I was like picking some of these, I was like, gotta have
human.
I don't remember what the guy's name is though.
So
here's the half
One Eye.
Yeah, we got a half word.
Yeah.
As soon as we see the shield, we'll know. No, we're not there yet.
Human. It's probably like the last one.
It probably is. Oh gosh, it probably is. Sorry.
No, it's all good. People can kind of see
you guys will laugh. There it
is.
is. There it is.
Not the last one.
Yep. Had to do it. Had to say, hey, I need you to put an eye on this.
That's cool.
Yeah, and of course his deity is Odin One Eye.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
6'6", 241 pounds. He's a beefy boy.
Yeah, that's all randomly rolled using Greg's chart and everything. So that talk about Odin One Eye, that's in Dwaradeep. That's where the Cyclops men like showed up in Greg's products and everything.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of funny that they're called Cyclops men instead of just Cyclopses, Cyclopi. I mean, but
Well, it's interesting. I think that's still the same name that was in the Monster Manual 2 when they first showed up.
Okay. It's like a little nod, a little reference back
to crawl.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's where the Monster Manual 2 also was like, yeah, we can throw this in here. We'll call him Cyclops man.
And then
go ahead.
I was gonna say the other stuff you sent was
go ahead. Yeah, the adventures.
Yeah. So let's look at you were talking about the Blue Lady.
Yeah. So that one actually, that's not for sale. But it is for sale with Mad Scribe Magazine, issue number 12.
Okay.
This adventure is in there. I told Chris Miller I wouldn't publish it. This is a referee one that I made, and I'll probably print it off for myself in due time, just as a vanity project. That's just about it. But it just has a little adventure, and inside of it you have a very basic with just the O table, because everybody can find the jousting matrix table out there in the void. Mm-hmm. So and that's my version of the O table with the rules, so that you could actually try it out. And this came out in October before the Kickstarter. So I was hoping that people would
try it out.
Try it out and then see how they like it and stuff. And
so
I put the adventure and everything around it. But go ahead.
So it's an adventure that you would play in Dragon Slayer, and then it leads to this sort of jousting tournament where your jousting rules are used. Okay.
Yeah. See, the gist of the story and everything is that there is I used one of my buddy's characters. So we have Tudwall the Portly, which you'll get to see his heraldry. If you scroll down, you get to see all the heraldry of all the different knights and everything.
Here we go.
There's Tudwall the Portly. I even asked Aaron, I said, what do you want and everything? He says, it's got to have his favorite drink and his favorite drinking song on his shield. And I was like, okay. And I asked Frank, I was like, I need you to produce this.
I would put a pig on my shield.
I have. Hold on. I've got a character. It's Matt D'Amico, a player that has a character. He calls himself the Butcher. He is like he's a rogue knight, and it's just a pig's head on it, because we randomly determined his family is that They were like upper middle class in a sense, like in the city, and that their background was that they were butchers. That's how they made their stuff. And he goes, "I'm gonna have a pig's head with like a green apple in it," you know. So,
Yeah, that's fun.
but what ends up happening in like the story and everything is that Ted Walder-Portley is taking his ward, which is the Blue Lady, and taking her to a town that's called Taustadt. And what ends up happening is that these knights who are patrolling this area that's in the Iron Shade woods come across them. She basically, entices him to take the joust in his honor. He gets bested. They take her and say, "Hey, we're going to hold on to her. You can come back and try to joust us for her or whatever." And that's when the party should show up and everything. And then there is some random encounters. It's in the Iron Shade Wood, and you also have. I put some little, kind of like mini encounters. I put 3 of them in there, just so like if you didn't want to use the random encounters, you can also pick the Black Hands there, which is where it's a band that's of Ettins that are being led by a Threaten, excuse me, which is a 3-headed Eaton. A little nod to Monty Python, and then the other one is We Can Dance, which is like this illusion of satyrs, because I like my forests, to be creepy and fey-like, and
Sure, of course.
So, and then
real life.
yeah, exactly. And then the Crimson Peddler, that one is a little nod to Chris Miller. He said that his family in Scotland, what he's descended from, that they is where the story for the Red Cap comes from. That he's from that family, and so I had to put a red cap in there. So I have him. Nice. But by the time they show up to Beaumont, but since the Lord's name is Beau, last name Beau, so I was like, this is great, Beaumont. So they show up there, and he's honorable. He's like, I just took her and everything, and she was willing, and we'll joust for it. My knights haven't been to a tournament, and we'll just have some fun. I'll host you. There's you can see that there's no ill to her and whatnot, and but there's a little bit more deeper to it and everything once you get into it. But for the most part, you got to win 11 jousts. You got to beat all the knights, and in the end, you get to find out. And I give like a random determination at the end of where you can choose how this all played out. Like, was she involved? That was this plan that she had, so forth and so on. It's kind of like the loose ends, and you have alternate solutions. So like, what if they do want to like just steal her in the middle of the night? You could do that too. And then I also, when I was rolling up some of this random equipment, because some of these knights are leveled, that one of them got a map, a treasure map, and I was like, perfect with this. So I was like, okay, cool. So Matthew there, his map, that once you beat him, he will approach you about, hey, he's like, you bested me. I want to do this quest. I was like, I've got this map that goes somewhere. And I said, hey, it's a great lead into doing another article or another adventure with Chris, Matt
Sure.
But that's cool. But that's what that one is. The 2 that I have offering is the 2 that were my Dragon Slayer first place award-winning adventures, one from 2024 and one from this year. The first one is the Unbroken King, the Bearer of the Unbroken King.
Is it this one? Let me see.
Yeah, that's actually the one that, by the way, thank you for pledging, and
no problem.
Pledged for. So, but this is a preview of it. I'm expanding each one of these, but these, you can actually like check out a free preview of this on drive-thru. Anybody can go to the Kickstarter, and there's like a little link. But this was and that dungeon was randomly determined by rolls.
Cool.
Nice.
I like that. That's how I do my dungeons. So.
Yeah. I picked it up from like you and Scudder from Mike. Like I was like, after I've watched all you guys, and then I entered that, I was like, I'm going to try this out. And then I was like, hey, I won. I'm going to try it out again.
You get cool stuff.
So.
Yeah, you can generate some neat stuff. I always feel like I love being able to have it like prompt me to think of interesting ways of interpreting that kind of stuff in order to like make it all fit. I know some people don't get it, but I think once you do get it, you're sort of like, oh, this is cool, this is fun, because you're like,
and you got to also use some common sense. There's some things that's like, man,
sure,
no way, you know. I'm just like, I'm not going to have all these wyverns in this one little room. You know, it's like this is not happening. You know,
like the Tonisborg closet of wyverns. Yeah,
that's what I was referencing. That's and I gave a little, sub race and everything. But this adventure can plug right into Greg Gillespie's world. If you use Dwaro Deep, there is a forest that's called the Everwinter Forest, and that's where like I kind of like base this around. So you could just plop this in. Actually, Ryan Nilsson, if you guys know D&D Dad and Son, the reason why there's spaces there is because he will be doing the art for each one of those pre-generated characters. And he just had a baby. And I said, man, I was like, this finished product is not going to be till next year. I was like, I'm just putting spaces there for the preview so people can kind of like preview this. Plus it's getting expanded. So it's not just going to be just this. So
you got to crack the whip on him, man. That's
no,
I'm kidding.
Hey, you got another kid. You got another kid, man. You gotta start making money. But no, he offered. He was just really super excited about actually being in some type of product. And I was like, man, I thought about you because I've seen your art and I really like your kind of the bust pieces that he's done of character pieces. It's been awesome.
Yeah, he interviewed me on his channel, I think before White Box launched in like a pre-launch interview.
I watched that,
and it was a really good. I like his family-orientated perspective on gaming and stuff like that. So I think that's cool. He does that with his kids. So
scroll down 1 second. I want to dote on a name I came up with. So there's Tobias. Is a halfling up there. Tobias Bottomgrass. When I came up with that idea, I was like, "Oh, sweet! His last name is Assgrass," you know. So
I was gonna say Vic's name that he came up with for a halfling, but
yeah,
it's not appropriate. So you have this. This is an adventure. You had another one here. I see the Whispers of the Second Deep.
Yeah, that's this year's first place Dragon Slayer adventure. There,
nice.
That piece when you're talking about my pieces I painted, the dwarf piece I painted that for my father who got into playing D&D. He now plays with us and everything.
Awesome.
That's fun.
And I was going to say that piece actually won an award. So
awesome.
Cool.
I want to get my dad into it too. My dad will play Bolt Action with me because he loves World War II. But he's not
nice. Yeah,
he's not gotten into the fantasy war games and role playing games yet.
Yeah, so. I played Twice That with my dad once. I played that Ghost Dog Twice That game. That was pretty fun, but he eventually got too drunk to play, so we had to pause.
Well, what happened with us is that my brother, when it's during COVID, said, well, I have Fantasy Grounds and like Wizards of the Coast is like giving up like Phandalin and all that stuff for free. He's like, would you guys mind like running this? He's like, I know you got your regular game, Travis, but would you mind like playing with like me and Dad? And I was like, okay, sure. And then since then I just ported both of their characters into like my campaign and we just played from there, and we're like all dwarves, we're all Thunder Shields. So and it kind of works out because just like this adventure here, the Whispers of the Second Deep, this is all dwarf centric. This is actually, if you're playing in Dwaro Deep, there is a section of Dwaro Deep known as the King's Gate, which is like the first little area of that mega dungeon. And below it, like Greg had alluded that there, like just like a sentence or whatever, that there's a second deep and there's a third deep below this. So when he said, well, for this contest this year, if you guys want to do something Dwarven, that'd be great, but you just need to do 3 pages. And I was like, okay, roger that. I'm going to do Dwarven. So I was like, I know exactly where, to do that. And if you take my map that I create there, you could literally put it right above the other, and those entry points, line up that he had mentioned.
Yeah, it's a cool map.
I think I remember seeing on Facebook you sharing like the process of making this one.
Yeah. So I did on Instagram both of those, like even the like usually I'll just get some music and and that's my process, is that when I'm making an adventure, like especially if it's like dungeon oriented or whatever, is that I just like to listen to some music. Like I'll pick, some type of like either metal, folk metal, sometimes some bardcore, just something, just kind of get me, in the mood, and then just go from there. And I'll just start drawing. And then I'm like, okay, after I randomly determine stuff, I'm like, well, now I kind of like think about, does some of these roles match up? Do I want to adjust a few things? That's especially I was like competing like this. So
yeah, I usually listen to like ambient stuff.
Yeah,
like,
ambient.
I'm working on like a desert like adventure. I'll like listen to like desert sounds with like a little bit of like Arabian music over it.
The Dune soundtrack.
Yeah.
Toto.
Yeah.
I love Toto, man. It's like, as my wife always says, she's like, here's your song. And that's like, and I'll hear like Africa playing. I was like, one day I will go to Africa just so I can hear that playing in the desert. I said, that's probably when I'll die. So I'll try to be that player still playing out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, just become like a mercenary and go to Africa and then
get a FAL and some short shorts and you're set.
But yeah, I'm getting into adventure writing myself. It's fun. Like I'm working on my Modern Necessities adventure right now. So,
John, I will say this: there's a little nod to both you and I think was it Paul? What's his first name is
Paul
Rob. Yeah, is it
yeah.
Rob?
Okay.
Yeah. So I was actually, when I was actually getting these previews like done, you gave me a thought. If you just scroll down to the next
page. Okay.
Yeah, that page right there.
Eventually, this one, how he lists everything up.
Yeah.
I love how Rob does that.
I was like that. The first time I ever seen that was when I was running Earth Dawn back when I was in high school, and they would do like a loose ends or here's your totals and stuff, and I thought about that, and then when you were mentioning this, I was like, I'm gonna kind of go back and look at my Gods of the Forbidden North, and then just kind of look at how he did it, and I was like, okay, I can do this. I think this is a good idea, and I want to implement this into my products, because I think it's a great way for somebody to like look and say, okay, this is what is here,
what's here,
available. If you found it all,
and you kind of get for a party too, you can kind of see like how far they can gain levels throughout that adventure and stuff like that too. I just think it's kind of a neat way of presenting the information. Your dungeon map again. And are the monsters in both adventures, these are new ones that you designed yourself?
No, some of them are, some of them are not. So this one has the least variants that I've done. So there you see it says Dragon Slayer monsters. I put those in. Those are, as like Greg said, well, you could copy the monsters. It's just that's one of the things you could do. Just so that way, I just put it in there convenience for the dungeon master in this case. But if you go down to the variant monsters, this one has, like I said, like the shortest list.
There we go.
Okay, so there we go. so I did a variant for a dwarven skeleton and a dwarven zombie, and then I have the Shroomant, which is a version of a treant, but it's a giant mushroom. That can actually, just like a treant, activate other giant mushrooms. Now, my plan is in the one that will be expanded, because I'm going to do the whole level, because if you go back to the map, I'll explain something that why I chose this, because where this was for, so you can kind of see where each section's kind of like cut off by a portcullis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's because I had to deal with the space and everything for like the tournament that, the contest that I was entered into, because this is a whole second deep. So I had to figure out, how am I going to make this fit? Because this thing would be huge. Just
it would be another mega dungeon, basically.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it would be a good section of a mega dungeon. Right. So, and that's what I'm going to expand off of this. But initially it's like it's cut off, because like when the dwarves like lost this, it's like those that were inside and everything, locked it down.
Yeah.
Sure.
So and I was like, okay, that's my justification to be like, okay, but those will lead off into that's where I
areas.
want to expand it.
Yeah, that's fun. That gives you room to write additional shit. So yeah, it's
well,
fun.
it's like in the first one, I had to figure out. I was like, well, do I do like secret doors or whatever? And then I remembered, like in the Barrow of the Unbroken King, that I used an illusionary wall, which I rarely see that ever used.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I also put in a new like god and everything, or it's really like a fey god, Scalig. That's it's like a god of storytelling, trickery, and illusions. And I was like, okay, great. So what I'll do is that when people say, oh, I played the preview and I went all the way through this, well, when you get the expanded version, it's like, well, you missed these illusionary walls. So like you can go back down and there's all these additional different paths and everything in this ancient which I refer to as the mounds of the fairy kings. So
cool. All right. Well, I'd be interested if Vic is down. I'd be interested in trying to like at least a round of jousting to see what it feels like.
Let's do it.
I'll be right back real quick. I gotta use the bathroom.
No, I'm just kidding.
Just pee your pants, Vic. Come on, be a real man. Let's see. Let me close some of these here.
Yeah, it's fine. Things. I'm gonna share and bring this on the deck here. Share screen.
Let me see and remove mine.
Okay.
There you are. Let's see. Wait, no. There you are.
All right. Well, you can determine the table if you want to roll a d4. We'll figure out where we're going.
Sure. Let's see. I rolled a 3.
Roll a 3. I believe that is table B, but let me pull up my PDF here real quick. Boom, 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 boom. If my PDF decides to move. Oh, yep. Table B. So this is not Marshall. This was the first stretch goal. So as you can see here, we'll have John as player 1 or player A, and then we'll have Vic as player B.
I aim for Vic's face.
But yeah, so you can kind of like see how
to make it any worse. So
yeah. So I just
I filled up my no.
Oh well, go ahead, drink them while you got them. So so yeah, just think about what your aiming point's going to be, and then remember that whatever aiming point that you choose, that you'll have to pick the defensive maneuver that matches up with this, unless you want to get risky. And then once you have your aiming point, your defensive maneuver, just say that you're ready, and then I'll get them from you both here at once. And then you can just announce it like H1 or DC3, or B or base, however you want to announce it.
Let me look at the table myself.
Yeah.
My eyes are. Let me bring this actually up here. I have it on my smaller screen. Let me put it back up here.
Can you see it all right, Vic?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I'm just gonna do random rolls and fuck it.
Okay.
They're both D6, so yeah, it works.
He's gonna pull a Chet. Oh, that's it. His last name's Chet Malik. I just remembered it's Chet Malik, Sir Chet Malik.
All right, so we'll decide what ours is, and then we'll just
just tell me you're ready, and then we'll wait for the other
okay,
the other to be ready. And once you both say you're ready, then I will call it out here.
So I have to like private message you or what?
No. We're going to tell it all at once. It don't matter because he's already chose his. Yeah, I mean
it's on his honor.
It's on his honor.
I'm still thinking of mine here for a second here. Yeah, I'll go simple. I think I know what I want to do. So should I
just say you're ready? Just tell me you're ready. That lets me and Vic know. You're ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, John.
DF4.
All right, Vic.
I rolled up DF3.
All right. So over here, because player B is performing a risky maneuver, player A auto unhorses B, so it's over with.
Oh well, I lost. Well,
so and it shows over here. It shows over here that if you chose a risky maneuver, it's going to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is risky."
Yeah.
And then
I rolled for it, so it's my fault.
but in the end, you did break a lance on him, but then he just plowed you over. So, and one of the features that we had when we first made this was I had to unclick every single one of these, and I was like, there's a way that we can fix this?" And Howard's like, "I'll take care of you." All right, there we go. All right,
So we're at 3-1 on points right now.
Well, technically you won. You unhorsed.
sorry.
It's over with.
Yeah.
Okay.
It don't.
that was
continue.
quick.
You unhorsed, you're done. You're out. You're out of here. So, all right. So, let's try again.
All right, let's see. Okay, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right, John.
CP6.
I got SC6.
Miss and miss.
Huh.
All right. So
We suck, Vic. Come on.
Yeah.
So what happens there is that, of course, you both would have missed each other. So we start for the second pass. There's 3 passes in a match.
All right.
All right. So second pass.
Let's see.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right, John.
FP4.
Vic.
I got FP6.
All right, here we go. So player A, you glance. So John's lance glances right off of Vic's. But Vic, you get 1 point because you broke a lance.
Nice.
Now we get to determine whether John stays on the horse or you get to knock him off. So both of you need to roll a D20.
I rolled a 2.
Oh, it's not going good. It's not going good.
Roll the
for it.
6.
All right, so you do knock him off the horse, and he also takes the injury. So roll a D8 there, Vic.
Okay, D8. 1 sec.
All right, let's find out what it is.
I'm using the Google roller.
That's fine.
7.
I'm trying to get there. Just give me a moment here. 7. Dead arm. So on top of him, actually, his arm is useless and automatically fails Constitution rolls until healed. But doesn't matter. He's out. So
Yeah.
all right. So you're both up 1 on each other. So let's try again. That's what I'm saying, man. It's quick. It's quick.
It's fun though.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It adds a lot of like flavor to the to the setting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be a little risky. I'm ready. So
Okay.
let's do. Are you ready, Vic?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I'll do SF1.
Okay.
I got SF2. Jesus.
A miss and a miss.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Second
I'm
pass.
like literally randomly rolling, so it's kind of funny that we keep having the same like aiming thing.
All right. second
Let's
pass.
see. Let's do I'll do SC2.
Oh, well, I want to make sure Vic was ready.
I'm ready. Yeah.
He's
Okay.
rolling, so
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. Just say you're ready, and then
Okay.
we can announce after that.
Yeah.
That way we don't have any funny business.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm ready.
there's always that person. So
yeah, it's usually I'm cheating over here. So
all right. So would
That's why
you
I'm
say
losing.
SC what?
What did I say? SC2.
SC2. Okay.
I got SF5.
All right. So we have a miss and a glancing blow. So
Still
John's lance glances off of Victor, and Victor misses. Final pass. If not, we're going to go to melee.
Uh-oh.
We can do it white box style if you want.
All right, let's see. I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, John.
I'll go CP3.
CP3. All right.
I got FP5.
All right. So we have a broken lance, possible unhorsing, and an injury for John against Victor. And Victor, you break a lance. So here we go. You need to both roll your D20s to determine if Victor stays on his horse.
Okay, I did better this time. I got a 15.
All right. 15.
I rolled a 1.
But you get to give a little bit back. So go ahead and roll a D8, and let's find out what injury you gave him.
Yeah.
I already have a dead arm, so. Or was that in the last?
That's the
I got
last one. That's a whole
All right.
different night. Yeah.
I got a 2.
Oh well, no. I want John to roll because he's
Oh,
the one
sorry.
who's delivering it.
Let's see. A 1.
wind knocked out of you, 1 level of fatigue. So on top of the injury of like being knocked off, lost your horse, you're like,
Yeah.
Sucking air on the ground.
But like I said, you can see how like quickly you can roll up a stable of knights. If you got a couple of friends that's like playing, and then just play through, and they start developing, characteristics, and you're like, hey, this happened to so and so. This so and so doesn't have a crest anymore, and But
yeah, it's cool. Like you go a little more in depth. You've added more to it than like, because I just did straight like this is the chainmail jousting, so it doesn't have a lot of the roles, or like it's just like like you said, the old school, like it's auto unhorse and things like that. But this is cool because it's compatible with it. It's pretty much the same thing, but it definitely adds a lot more like story and detail to the jousting, which is cool. I like
it's
that.
fun to run across like a Lord's Keep and then have to do this to like maybe curry favor and stuff, and it adds something rather than just like, oh, it's another NPC that I have to like talk to.
Yeah. And here's the other thing is, remember we were talking about like having the bonuses and whatnot. You don't necessarily have to have that, because I've had characters like Howard Young, the guy who developed this. He had a character, his stats, I mean, he had enough just to be a fighter. You know what I mean? Like just enough. But the funny thing is that he didn't have any bonuses, and he won a full-on tournament.
Yeah.
But so in other words, good rolls and just outplaying your opponent, you can work out. But then you have people that say, I got levels, and that still will play in your favor. But there is a chance that the little guy can whip you. So yeah.
Well,
I think it's
because good rolls, I'm screwed. But yeah.
I think it kind of shows too, like a lot of the cool stuff that happened in these older games and editions, where you get these neat little things, and it's sort of like nobody really uses this anymore,
Right.
But it's a lot of fun because, like I said, I've been solo gaming White Box, and every time I've had to do a joust, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun, because it's kind of, especially the way I do with the solo gaming, because I'll pick something for the character, but then I'll do a roll for the opposing guy, and it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's really cool. And then you always get some really, like in my solo game that I recorded, they won, and so it was like they get to like be hosted by, they got a nice little castle for a month that they could kind of rest at and figure out their plan before they got TPK'd in a hobgoblin lair. But
I'll tell you an interesting story that my characters were playing, my players were out and they were hex crawling, and I randomly determined like this dungeon and everything. They went down, and then they ended up coming away with some treasure, but two of the items that two knights, they were actually playing a couple of their tertiary characters or whatnot that were knights that were from these tournaments. It was, my dad was playing one knight, and Matt D'Amico was playing the butcher that we were referring to. Well, there was a +1 Warhammer and a +2 Warhammer up for grabs, and they were fighting over the +2. And all of a sudden, I'm set up to play a game. I wasn't set up to joust. And then my dad says, "We'll joust for it."
Yeah.
Like they had made it back to town, and they're like literally on the outskirts of the town arguing over this before they enter into, it's like this dwarven area. I call it's Hamlet in Greg's game, but I refer to it in mine as Thungold. So they're all outside of Thungold, and he said, "Let's joust for it." And Matt's like, and we're like, oh, everybody's like, okay, and and egging them on like all the other players, and they said he agreed, and I was like, all right, let me get the stuff out. So I had to go dig for my file, and I was like, all right, I'm ready. And they threw down, and my dad whipped the floor with Matt, and that I always tell this story because I don't want Matt to ever live it down. That Dad creamed before that +2 hammer.
That's fun though, because it does offer a sort of story there for like for maybe absolving. Kind of like I said, it's kind of like a fancy rock paper scissors.
Yeah,
but with it's a little more higher stakes, because like you've added this injury table stuff and things like that, and so it's sort of like, if they're in the same party, you won the hammer, but what if you like injured your party mate, and now it's like, oh, I got the hammer, but now you're hurt and you're part of
almost dead.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we've had in a tournament where like the roll was like so bad that like in Melee that one character got hit, and it was a low level character going against one that had levels, and that was it. Nighty night. It was over with.
Yeah.
and he was dead. So
this also, I think, adds something to your game that's really cool. One of my favorite video games is Mountain Blade. I've always loved Mountain Blade, and one of my favorite things to do. They don't have jousting in Mountain Blade, but it gives me the same vibe when I do this with like White Box or what you're trying to do here, where you're setting up these tournaments all over the place. Is I loved going from like city to city, in order to fight in the tournaments and things like that. That was always just like fun to me. And that concept being like kind of present in old school D&D from the very start is it's kind of neat to me. I don't know.
Same in what's that game?
That's why I'm trying to think of a game myself. So keep talking.
Yeah.
What's that game? They did part 2 recently, and it wasn't as well received.
A Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance. You can fight in tournaments and stuff in that too. I don't remember if they have jousting. I don't think they have jousting.
I don't think so.
But they do have like the melee tournaments and the fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember this game that I played when I was a kid. Defender of the Crown. Did you guys ever play Defender of the Crown?
It sounds familiar,
played it.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar, but I never played it.
So Defender of the Crown, you did joust.
Cool.
So on top of like trying to conquer, England and everything, and this is like you could even hire like Robin Hood. It was like during that time period, and so like you could go and it was kind of almost like how pirates from like Sid Meier's were like when you did try to conquer the town or the ship that you'd have to fence for it. So that would be like the same thing. I'm going to raid my opponent's castle or whatever, but you still had a chance to go to tournament, and then you could actually end up jousting. And then you also had like where then you would go into a melee too as well. It was a fun game. I want to see if I can find some pictures and I'll share again. I guess somebody's done a revision of it. So here, I'm going to share this real quick.
Well, I think you could easily do that, Patty. I think you could easily have a tournament. Like I could see this taking up like a whole session or a whole part of a session in a game. That was kind of when I did White Box and I was looking at the jousting rules in Chainmail. I was thinking like this could be a lot of fun, especially like if you let players control, even if they're NPCs. You're like, yeah, you can control this one, and do you want to control this knight for this tilt against your buddy over here? That's also kind of fun too, instead of like the referee doing everything. So
yeah, but that was like back in the old Commodore 64, and I think it was Amiga that you could play this. But this is like an updated version, it looks like. But I just pulled it up just in a search. But yeah, that's how it would look like when you're playing the video game of like trying to, hit the opponent. But yeah, so when Patty was mentioning that is that on December 7th, I will be on his show. And I was actually talking to him, and JP got rockets like last night while JP was painting. And he was like, hey, would you like to just do a tournament, for that? And I was like, sure, we can do that, And so, that's what he was mentioning. And I do know that I'm going to put out in my Discord like here soon about like letting some people demo it. I will run it. And then also, I forget what date it is. I want to say it's January. Let me look at my calendar here real quick. I'm going to stop sharing again. Venger was having like some online convention or whatever. And I think it's the 10th. So I opted to actually like host during that. And I'm going to put it out there that I'm on the 10th of January. I am going to do a tournament for anybody who wants to show up, and I try to get, and I'm trying to get Lord Mattias and Gary Lewis because he wants to get back at him, and any other like YouTuber or anybody or just people just want to show up, but just host it and everything so that people can see the system after the Kickstarter, but also just see people play in the joust and enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Rose, I've been talking this whole time and I haven't brought up your Kickstarter page. It's in the video description though, just so people know. If you look down there, and then I did put it pretty quickly in chat up there. So I did it again. It's right here. Thank you. But you have 25 days to go, and you've already like exceeded your goal, which is very, very awesome. I'm excited to see that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
What I found interesting too is I got 122 people following it, and only 34 was converted.
Yeah, that's
There's
pretty
a
normal.
lot of people is like waiting towards the end, which is cool, you know. But I was like, well, that's pretty positive, you know. And then even go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, so that's pretty typical. They say talking to Rob from Pulp Hummock, because it's like we've done this before, but like some insidery information on Kickstarters is like, for me, especially with like White Box, I sort of let that baby cook in the oven a little bit, and I could have maybe let it cook a little longer, but I wanted to get it done before the end of the year. But those pre-launch signups are like key to being successful on your day one and day two, you know. So anyone out there that wants to do a Kickstarter, like, you got to really get people to sign up on your pre-launch page.
Start early.
And start early. Yeah, start marketing early.
So I learned that from you. It's one of the things is like my buddy Matt D'Amico, you know, we were talking about this, and he was the one kept pushing me like, do a Kickstarter. You got to do a Kickstarter for this. He's like, I want to see this out here. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I'm doing it, buddy. And and I researched what a lot of people did, because you could see, like, if you follow like me, I've backed 61 people's, you know, Kickstarters, and I was like, okay, like, what has everybody done? And I liked your pre-launch strategy, and I was like, I'm going to do this. So it's like, as soon as I was given the approval, I was out there, I was on the street, you know, like, I was like, here we go. It's like, I'm
this
here.
Is what I'm doing.
Yeah. I was like, I'm trying to get Greg Cloak Publishing out here. We got to do this. So, and I got the night before everything, you know, clicked over, I was at 99. I wanted 70. I wanted 78. And I got over that, and I got to 99, and the wife goes, let's get to 100. Let's get to 100. Like, she was like getting excited, you know, 100. And then I was like, I got to 99. And I was like, that's like the guy saying, I wanted to make $100,000, but I made, you know, 99,000. It's like, that's okay.
Yeah.
You tried. It's, you know, it's all right. But I think you're right. It is so key to do that. And, you know, and I even did like the previews. I wanted people just to see, because, you know, I put those adventures out there because I thought, well, maybe some people don't just want jousting. Maybe people are just like, I want adventures. So I was like, I kind of rounded things out just a little bit. But yeah, it is a lot. It's a lot to take on to do this, especially as a one-man band. It really is.
Yeah,
but
it's rough.
It's rewarding. It's rewarding though. I got it super excited after like the first day. I was like, oh man, in 3.5 hours, boom, it's over. Well, you know, I'm over the top, and it's just gravy now. So
now you're in the lull. It'll be really like what's happening? But
no, I saw that. I had I think like one or two people like just kind of like ditched, and I was like, it's okay. It's like we're still way up. It's
I always hate that when people cancel.
You're gonna say something though, Vic.
I said I've done 3 Kickstarters so far. I'm like getting ready to do my 4th, and it never gets easier. Really, it's always stressful.
Yeah, learn more though.
I figured. Yeah. It just you know, the beast just becomes maybe a little bit bigger because you know what you're doing. It's just like you're like, well, I'm now doing this.
Well,
kind of like how
you know what you're doing, and you also learn from your mistakes. Like I learned no stretch goals.
Those are rough. Yeah.
No.
But I guess, you know, we still got some time left. I want to know more about it, and I'd like to know more, like maybe this will help people too, like know your background as far as like what your origins are in gaming. What prompted you to like do this too? Like what made you think like jousting? You know,
well, it's an interesting story. I've now told it twice, both on D&D, Dad and Son, and also on Diversity and Dragons. I've always liked jousting and whatnot, but what really prompted me is my mom passed away in 2023, and her birthday is November 15th. That's when this Kickstarter started, and my birthday is December 15th, so it's almost exactly 30 days. So when she passed away, right after my birthday, I just kind of like woke up, and I was already like on the path of like taking the the bearer of the unbroken king, and I was going to go forth with my whole like mega dungeon that I'm going to do with that, with the mounds of the fairy king. But I just woke up and I just had this feeling like hit me of why haven't I like seen anybody like put anything like truly lately about like jousting or whatever. It's like I see them play it like a Gary Con. I was like, I don't know what system like they're using, but just this passion like just hit me, and it was weird. And so I spent that whole day like digging up. And then I came across, and I laugh at this because I bought it for like $60, like before my daughter was born, like on eBay, a chainmail. I was going to put it like a shadow box or whatever, be like, that's the roots right there, boys, like up on my wall and stuff. And I never really like looked at it, like, and then I found out, oh, there's this jousting matrix. And then I started like researching, well, how's it played? And then, just like we were talking about, the auto unhorsing. And then as soon as that first round, boom, it's like, it's almost, you're done. You know what to do to your next opponent just to win. And I was like, I'd like to adjust this. And then I was like, well, but there's also this other research I did, because there's also like Full Tilt by Warhammer. And that's where I kind of came up with the idea of like using the cards, because they use cards, but not like this. The crest idea also kind of came from that. Then historically, I started like researching stuff, and it just on and on and on. And then, I started play testing this with my friends, and I just said, look, guys, I said, I just had this idea. I've been tinkering around with this. I said, let's just roll up some nights. And I said, let's just play. And they loved it. And then since then we have like these tournaments, like periodically in the game world, that just kind of like breaks things up, but we still, do our campaign, or my campaign setting. But, in the end, I just kind of felt like, something kind of told me to do it. And here we are. And that's why I decided it would be November 15th, my mom's birthday.
That's cool. I think your point about, I kind of stumbled into the jousting, because like for me, it was like looking at chainmail, I'm sort of looking at it from like the D&D perspective of like, how do I fill in the holes in 0E? I know the answers are in chainmail. And then, you kind of stumble upon that, and then you realize in 0E, it's telling you like, these lords of these castles are going to challenge you to a joust. And I had never really thought about it, like how to adjudicate that, because I wasn't really like on my radar. But then I saw that, and then I'm like, look at the jousting matrix. It's like, oh, there's this whole little like mini game essentially in here that's like kind of fun, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see these little, for me personally, like these little things that are in these old editions sort of make a resurgence and come out a bit more, because I think there's some, I do think there's some value there to these, and how they can enrich our games. So
you said something I thought was interesting. You said like nobody really plays with that jousting anymore, and I wonder if that's a consequence of like D&D and maybe fantasy RPGs in general. They've kind of moved away from that medieval setting. Like they either tend to be sword and sorcery, like Conan, which that predates jousting, or they tend to be like the more like kind of like Renaissance, or even almost steampunky, like especially modern D&D like 5e. When you watch how people play it, it's not really, it doesn't feel medieval anymore. It's like some weird like Renaissance mixed with the 18th century type stuff. So I kind of wonder if that's a consequence of that. Like that's just one of those things that's been lost.
Yeah, well, like I said, like I know that they still like do it at like Gary Con, and it's kind of like the tourney thing. It's like you're either with the blue team or the red team. You almost feel like you're like from my understanding of what I've gathered, never been, but just kind of like what I've heard people talk about and what I've seen. It's like, it's kind of like medieval times. It's like, oh, I'm on the green team, I'm on the purple team, or whatever, and it's like, and you still do the joust, and as is, it harkens back to it, but it's just kind of like, oh, it's novel, I played it,
Yeah.
It's not like something that like I'm trying to offer, which is like, look, you can plug and play, you can put this in your system, you can bring this stuff back, you can use this.
I'm just thinking like all the campaigns I've been in and stuff, like just thinking back, and it's like, like that kind of medieval vibe just rarely has come up like in the last few years, maybe. Like, you don't see like, the knight with the lance and like the armored horse, with the cool plumed helmet anymore.
Mm-hmm. The frog helm.
yeah, the frog helm. Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, is that it's also that human centric part of it, because it is we all we heard the stories. We talked about this like earlier, but what I was going to say is that like in my campaign setting, it's like we do have like the Dwarven Kingdom, and when the dwarves like hosted it, they're like, we just want to see this. We're not entering in this. We're going to watch the humans like do this and everything. And then when like I had the king like said, well, as like the Knight Marshal, like he was like, well, my statement on this is until somebody's knocked out. So if it goes to tie, it's like, we want to see it. We want to see the fighting happen. It wasn't like, in the, as I have the Castellanti of the border mark, or the southern marches or the western reaches, all the human areas that they might be like, oh, just the first strike, or so forth and so on. But no, this the dwarves were like, no, we want to see some action.
Let's see it.
So
we got high all AFK barbecue outside, 31 degrees Fahrenheit, bacon cheeseburger, duty. Nice. Cool product, Travis. It made my list. So
thank you.
Max Owl asks, what's your next project after this, if you have something?
Well,
people ask me that too, and it's like, can I like catch a breather first?
Well, it's Frank. I know it's he's the guy who did the heraldry and everything. Probably if you scroll down, we look at the stretch goals, because that's where we're heading. So anyway, we're talking about the next project. It's in the stretch goals. So if you want to scroll, yeah, I did. I haven't. Well, the Knight Marshal was one. I wanted to make it an even number because it was breaking my my brain when I said I just want to make the money back for the laptop that I have here. So I was like, how much? I put it in Kickstarter, and they're like, 1,300. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll put 1,300 down. But I was like, okay, first stretch goal, make it 2,000. You guys get the Knight Marshal, and then we'll go from there.
Which is the program you were just using to like adjudicate everything.
Yeah. That's what that is. But I was going to say, on the Kickstarter, can you scroll down on the page there? That's what I was going to say. I was going to show off what I was going.
So you got a bunch of adventures here.
It's not scrolling.
I'm not. It's not scrolling. That's what I was going to say. I got confused.
It's not scrolling on your. Am I sharing the wrong? Let me share this one.
Sharing there we go. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So
let me go back up here.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Oh wait, let me see.
Yeah, we can actually, if you scroll back up real quick, I can talk about what I'm expanding and everything here real quick. All right, there's the list. Okay, so like I said, you saw that it's fast and easy. You will get the 6 tables, so 288 different outcomes. I'm going to put some details, like historically, about talking about like there'll be like the helm show and everything, and that leads into about winning the crowd, and where I'm going to put rules for heralds in it, ladies' favors. So at the beginning, when you do like the helm show, I'm going to have a chart for like your ladies' favors, and also determining like if the location has maybe 1 or 2 ladies, or if you're like near a city, there's a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But and then what that lady favors is, it's like I told on the show, the second watch, I said, if you end up getting the key, I'm going to put a little disclaimer saying, like, if I have to explain what that key is for, then just roll again, please. So, but and like I said about the whole thing, about the different classes there, equipment, because I want to bring in, about field plate and full plate and what they were actually used for. And then also the 2 adventures, the Pass des Armes, which is like being at the crossroads or at a bridge or at a gate where like a knight would challenge. And I have it set up to where you can play it solo and randomly determine that, or if it, you're actually, doing it yourself as, with a team of different, some characters or whatnot. And then a tournament where you could run it solo, or if you just have like you and a buddy and you want to roll up some other additional nights that, you're all going to tournament, that you can do that. And then I have like some monsters, which I'm doing like each Monday. I'm like showing off 2 additional monsters. One, I did the Tasselworm as one of the monsters, and I did the newest one that I put out like this past Monday, which is the Slender Knight. And then of course, there's the pre-generated characters and stuff. But back to answering his questions about, what is the next thing? Well, I'm going to expand on the Mounds of the Fairy King, and that's where I gave the first day free adventure that, right there, the Bearer of the Death Singer. That's a small little adventure that I'd already, written up and everything and ran for my characters and stuff. That's part of the Mounds of the Fairy Kings. And the day one people that got physical products, they'll get one of those. And then the next one would be it's also parts of the Mounds of the Fairy Kings, which is the Bearer of the Emerald Queen. That would be the next one, as well as the Third Deep, which would be below the second one. But those are the next things that I'd be working on with Grey Cloak Publishing, to answer Frank.
Cool.
So that's why there's stretch goals. I was going to work on them anyway. So
Off-Grid Gaming likes your 1E trade dress. So I think
thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's see here. Going through DriveThruRPG, that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I just backed, by the way. So.
Oh, thank you so much, Victor. I really appreciate that. Hey,
look,
our video right now.
We're already there right now.
That's why I was asking you about that blurb and everything. It's like, is that okay? You're like, yeah, let's roll with it. I'm like, all right, sweet. I'll put it on there, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't find out why, like, Diversity and Dragons one, like, it was there, and then they said they couldn't have it. Now that one I kind of wondered, because he had down OSR, kick some butt, but it wasn't butt, it was on there. And then Lord Mattis is one. I don't know why, because he's up above. So, but then everybody else, like, were me and
I had that problem on my Kickstarter. Yang Yang Zhao interviewed me about White Box, and like everyone else's videos worked when I put the link in, and then I put his in and it would do this. So I don't know. It might be just a Kickstarter thing.
I was just gonna say it still works because I've tested it, but you just have to click. You just have to click where it says read more. So but yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just a Kickstarter thing, because like I said, some people's interviews worked on mine and some didn't. It didn't seem targeted towards anyone in particular. It seemed.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, Yang Yang Zhao is he's pretty
pretty
innocuous in his content, so his wouldn't work. So
Dundamoose, good old Dundamoose.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. We were just talking about dungeon design and stuff, which also, by the way, tomorrow night at 8, I am playing in Greg Gillespie's one of his newest projects that he has. He's going to do an adventure. I believe it's called, hold on, I'm going to look at my, YouTube channel here. Well, if it will work. It is called The Beacon on the Barrowmoor. So Matt D'Amico, the Wonky, myself, Double D, Diversity and Dragons, and Greg, and some few other people. There's about 9 of us. We're going to go into and play Dragon Slayer, or this adventure and everything. We get to play test it for the next 4 Thursdays, minus Thanksgiving, so it's going to be starts tomorrow night. So it'll be a lot of fun.
I just adjusted my pledge. I realized I wanted the Full Metal Tilt rules. I mean, the adventure's cool, but I wanted the
I had to look too. So I went with Squire because I want the jousting rules.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool.
So I adjusted mine to get the jousting rules.
Right. That's fine. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's
I'm giving you more money, so
technically,
I appreciate that.
Money's nice.
But yeah.
But what we still got a little bit of time here before we I think we close things out. I'd like to know so
about my background.
Yeah, like a little bit about like what got you into gaming. We'll end on this. What got you into gaming, and what are your influences? We probably should have started with this, but
it's okay. It's okay. All right. If you've got a little bit of time, I got a little bit of time here, so we can, however we want to play this. So when I was in 3rd grade, I had a friend, Jeff Bogus. He brought his brother's copy of Mulvey's Basic Expert to elementary school, and him and some of my other friends at the time, they wanted to like go and like play imagination and LARP it. I was like, no, I want to figure out how this thing works. And ever since then, like my parents had like bought me some D&D, Star Frontiers, those type of things. I was also into the Lone Wolf books, and those were like the choose your own adventures, except that like kind of like had like a table in the back and you could almost use like a D10, but you use like a pencil and played. So I pretty much like solo played and everything back then, and never really got to play until my freshman year of high school. I was in between 8th grade and the freshman year, and a buddy of mine, Brad McCoy, said, hey, we're going to, since you're like into this and everything, we're going to play with my uncle's buddy and everything. And we've been playing, this game and stuff. And I was like, all right, cool. So I just thought it's just going to be D&D. I get there, it's a homebrew. So my very first game was a homebrew out of a world called Volumne. There was like 3 stats. It's like your hit points, strength, and dexterity. And you just rolled 3d6. That's what you got. You didn't get to buy equipment. You had like at the beginning when you create your character, there was like a piece of paper and he'd write down like just certain items and stuff. We used to joke like back in the day when we used to play this, is like, oh, there was a rusty fork, and then there was like a bag, and if you got the bag, you could be like, I want to open up the bag and see what's in the bag, and then like with your strength and stuff, it like determined how many slots that you had for equipment, and if you wanted to hit, you rolled under using a 3d6. So it was pretty fun, and it was kind of very sword and sorcery, like we were just talking about, very human centric. So it was like a lot of things were historic, but there was also like we had like the Felis, which was, most people couldn't play that. Later on, he let some people play, but that was like your cat people that were like assassins in there. Felix was like the best assassin in the world, which was this black, like Felix the cat. Felix the cat. Like, his name was Felix. And
I actually used to
drag the ground.
Felix the cat, so yeah.
There was a pirate named Blackie Patch, and then and then there was like these wizards, but the wizards weren't like like humans or any of the other races. They were like almost like aliens. They were blue skinned. They had like white eyes and like, or silver eyes were like the worst that we had to like ever face. They were called Azures. And but it was real neat. It was a fun. I just remember always like, there wasn't really like magical like weapons and stuff, but you could get Damascus steel, and that meant a whole heck of a lot. So we're like, feel like you were hunting down. It's like, I'm gonna get this Damascus steel sword, But that was pretty much my background for like getting started, and then from there on out, my friends, I picked up Earth Dawn, and I played it for 4 years, and then we kind of branched out and just like playing other games like here and there, from like Feng Shui to Vampire to traditional D&D and other games, to where now it's like I kind of like run my own system. But I do like Dragon Slayer because it reminds me of the day that I first saw that BX, book. And it's like I was telling Gary Lewis, I said, there's a reason why you always come back to one of these systems, is because it's like coming home. It's because you play all these other things, like whether it's Star Wars, and then it's like, okay, I had my fun there, but I want to go back to the fantasy and playing, what I grew up on.
That's interesting, because like I'm a bit younger, so it's like I don't have the nostalgia for a lot of that stuff, because I wasn't there. So for me, it's sort of like I don't know. I love, like, for example, like classic Traveler almost as much as I love OD&D. Like those are probably my 2 favorite games of all time, is classic Traveler and Zero E. So but I do find myself, like, you do find your home eventually, I guess, because I feel like I've kind of settled into Zero E, and Zero E is sort of like, despite my name, the basic expert, because I love BX. Don't get me wrong. BX is a fantastic game. I love it. But like, I've really come to just be like, Zero E is so great. And I love Classic Traveler. Like, those are my 2 games where I feel like at home, where I can run both those games with like my eyes closed at this point. you know, where I know what I'm doing. And so you always, like you
Right.
said, you kind of always come back and you're like, I feel
Yeah.
comfortable there.
Yeah, I'm the urban fantasy guy, so you know.
Yeah, well, you know, going back to that, you know, I didn't even mention this, but you know, there is that whole video game streak too, because and it's one of the things I loved about your channel when I first like started watching this is that seeing the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons in television box over there.
Yeah.
Before I even saw that BX, that was what I played. I played that, and then it was the blue box one, which was the Treasure of Tarman, which was like my favorite, like going down to like face the Minotaur, and then you didn't even have to face the Minotaur. You could keep going. Just as long as you avoided him, you could just keep going down. So the dungeons is endless, you know, and it was a lot of fun. So I used to spend a lot of hours like playing that. But then, you know, like we talked about, like I've even mentioned in the chat before, Victor, that I loved Wasteland. Like Bard's Tale and Wasteland from Electronic Artists. I love those games. Those were a lot of fun.
Well, I've told this story many times, but I used to play those multi-user dungeons, and the first one that I joined, and I'm still technically on there, and I'm a staff member, so it's been like 25 plus years, was one based on Wasteland. It was a continuation of Wasteland, so it has like the Wasteland map, it has like Vegas, it has like Darwin, like, you know, it has like the Desert Rangers and stuff like that.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm a big Wasteland fan too, and that kind of also like shaped my interest. My first RPG or tabletop RPG that I played was Shadow One, so you know that kind of like got that whole thing rolling with mixing fantasy with like modern that I do. So
yeah, I mean, and then I loved Earth Dawn. So back then, so it's like you know, you played the future end of that. But I will say, oh, thanks, JP. I will say this that, you know, going back to about like the whole like Wasteland thing, I did appreciate when Fallout decided to put 76 here in my state and like drag up like, you know, the Mothman and all those locations in that, they're real. I have been there. I know where they are. You know, it cracks me up because, you know, it's like when I was a kid, like I grew up, you know, not too far from an Adena burial mound, which, I mean, it's still there. It's like in the town of South Charleston. Like there's literally a park that has an Adena, you know, mound builder, like mound right there that you can like go and visit. You know, just like, you know, something like out of the Barrymores, you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's cool. I just think it's interesting to hear people's origins. Like people always laugh when I tell them I started in 4E. That was my first. So like, you know,
well, my first D&D was 3.5. So, you know, can't really say much.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I would say like 3.5 is probably what I played the most in college at the time, next to playing Warhammer 40K or Warhammer Fantasy. That's what we played a lot until I got into like LARPing and playing Nero, and then ended up running a chapter in Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia. So
cool. Well, we're at the 2-hour mark. I would want to stay in chat, but I have to start getting some things ready for my kid when she gets home from school.
That's
here.
fine. I understand.
I have to start getting ready for dad mode here in a second. But I want to encourage everyone to check out the Kickstarter. Go and back it. Get your tilt rules. Like everything I've seen. Like I think like what you've done. Like I'm happy to promote it because it's totally compatible with what I'm doing too. It just it expands it, makes it more in depth than what I'm doing. So if people want that, they can just, like you said, easily plug it into whatever it is that you're running and doing, which I think is fun. And as we demonstrated, I think you can have a lot of fun playing that. And if you had like a full table of guys doing this, I could see this being like lots of fun, lots of laughing, lots of swearing. At each other, at your choice, at your mistakes that you make. So everyone should go check out Full Metal Tilt on Kickstarter. I'm gonna put the link in chat again, just real quick.
I will say that all my products actually at the beginning of it, even if you go and check out the previews that I have out on Drive Through RPG, has a little disclaimer. And like you were talking about, if you go back and you look at the one for Full Metal Tilt, which you can, you know, later on, since I know that you got to get going, it does say where you think about all your bad choices that you made from on your back. You know, so,
as you're sucking wind because you got the wind knocked out of you.
yeah.
What happened to
Great
Vic
Cloak
there?
Publishing and the author is not held liable.
Well, I'm happy to see you get funded. I think it's cool to I love seeing people look through these old rules and taking ideas, pilfering ideas from them, expanding upon them. I think that's for me personally, my view is a lot of what's the future of gaming, I think, can oftentimes be found in the past that's kind of been forgotten a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and I think that it's important to go back and look at that stuff and see the roots, because sometimes there's a nugget there in the roots that we sort of forgot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, yeah, no, I've found like a lot of interesting stuff in old rules that nobody looks at.
Yeah. Well, I'll end on this and just say, and it don't necessarily have to be rules. It could be like what you were talking about like researching about the Paladin.
Yeah,
like
go back to
the roots, even the history, because like a lot of my stuff, like if you like in the adventures, you'll find that there's a lot of West Virginia in it. So there's nods.
Some of my more popular videos, which I need to make them again, was like looking at the D&D monsters and like what is the mythical origin of that. People seem to like that, like with the basilisk and stuff like that, because there's some weird stuff. You're like, that's actually really weird and cool. I want to bring that back. That's the first.
I watched them. They're good.
But we'll end it here. Thank you, Travis, for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
I hope that it keeps going on your Kickstarter. Do you have 25 days left to go? Which is, you're in a comfortable position now. I think hopefully you're a little less stressed. I know I was when I was finally funded. You're like, oh, I know Vic feels that too. Like, oh, I can rest and and not worry.
And then you actually have to write more.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I can breathe, but I was like, that's okay, because very soon here, after I breathe, I'm going to have to get right back at it. So,
I usually give myself like a week or two after the Kickstarter to just like decompress, and then I'm like, okay, well, time to
get going.
Crack the whip.
Real quick, speaking of Kickstarter, so Blacklight, I finished it technically. I'm still waiting on the print-on-demand versions to be approved, and then order the proofs and all that stuff, which, Drive to RPG, that's going to take a while. But I made the PDF available for sale. So if you didn't back it, but you are interested, check it out on Drive to RPG. I'll give the link in the comments in the chat there. So you can buy it now, the PDF anyway. And then hopefully in the next few weeks to a month or however long it's going to take, because I have no idea with the holidays, you'll be able to order the softcover and the hardcover version. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, buy it now because he backed me, so get that money back to him.
I need that. Oh, life flying in front of my camera.
I thought that was your cat maybe jumping in front of you.
Me too for a second. Like, what?
The cat approves.
Yeah.
For me, White Box has been delivered via PDF. So check the Google link that I shared or Drive to RPG link, whatever you prefer. And I did hear back from the manufacturer today. I was really worried. I sent off all my files. So like I have to make the files for like the box and like the foldable game board that's like the wilderness map and all this stuff, the booklets. And they came back and were like, it's all looking pretty good. You just have these few minor mistakes to fix and then we're good to go. So I was like, oh, this is like so different from the last Kickstarter I did, where it was just like mistake after mistake after mistake. So either I'm learning something or maybe this company's easier to work with. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that I'm going to be able to get things rolling and in production end of this month, definitely in December. So nice. we're on track to deliver the box set by, I think I said January or February is the date. We might be, I think I said February because I was trying to give myself more time. I think we're going to be before that potentially. So that's awesome. Good to know out there for the backers out there. Cause I was worried. I sent off the files and I was like, fingers crossed. Last time I did this, the manufacturer came back when I was like, you have a bajillion mistakes that you need to fix in the file for us to print this. And they're like, looks good just for these few tweaks that you got to fix. And I was like, oh, this is great. I love this.
Yeah.
Much easier.
I was gonna say, I know that there's always like one or whatnot, but you know, if you've already like delivered before, which I know you have and everything, that most people are like, okay, I get it. You know, whether it's like drive through and I'm waiting or this, you know, it's okay. But you know, I know there's always that one. But yeah, you know, you should be fine. So.
Well, hopefully there's no other hangups like boats crashing into bridges.
Yeah,
which affected shipping for me last time.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You know,
can't help it, man. Can't help it.
Yeah.
But thank you again, Travis, for coming on again. Congratulations.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
We'll again, I hope it keeps going. Everyone go back his Kickstarter and check out Vic's stuff as well.
Yeah.
But until the next stream, guys, we'll catch you later. I hope you enjoyed this, and check out Full Metal Tilt and get jousting, because it's actually fun. I mean, I've done my white box version. It was fun to have yours sort of expanded. What I would say is expanded, and like it definitely adds a lot to it that I think is like, I would even maybe use your rules instead of what's default in white box, maybe. So, you know, for what I'm doing, like it adds a lot.
Thank you.
I'm glad that program got funded, the automated one, because
it makes it quick. It does make it a lot quicker.
I mean, they only had to make up like $700. That's like, because my OCD, like I said, I was like 13. I was like, no, it's got to be like even. Everything even.
I get you. Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys in the next stream. I hope you enjoyed it, and go check out Full Metal Tilt. Until next time, we'll catch you guys later.
See you, everyone.
Later.
Because they are, in fact, experiencing mentally a whole